Sorry, it's maximum zoom, so the slightest movement creates a lot of jumpiness. There's the sun battling with the clouds in an Olympic spirit to prevail. Good morning, everybody. There's so much bubbling today in our readings. It's absolutely amazing. And we're walking, and so was Elijah. Walking, he was in a depression. He was in really bad shape. It was really, really rough times for him. The scene is a snippet taken from the account of his journey escaping from Jezebel on his way to Mount Horeb, where he's going to hear the voice of God saying, "Why did you come here? Go back." But, he just needs help. He needs help. He feels so alone, feels so isolated. All the prophets of Baal have been exterminated, or a bunch of them. God's patience with humanity is amazing. It's really amazing. And he's fatigued, he's exhausted. He probably wishes he doesn't exist anymore. And he's asleep now under the tree in the shade in this desert. We're over 40s these days here in the Sea of Galilee. I don't know what it's like down the Negev, but it's probably warmer still. And he's on his way to Mount Sinai, to Mount Horeb, to meet the living God. And there's an angel waking him up and saying, "Get up and eat." And he finds food beside his head. A heart cake is translated in English. I wonder what that is. Maybe you'd say a scone in England. Maybe you'd say a croissant in France. Maybe you'd say a bread roll in America. In Germany, you'd say a Simmel. In Bavaria. And he has a jug of water. Wow. When you're at the Sea of Galilee, a jug of water isn't so pressing, but when you're in the desert and you're parched and exhausted, the Lord has given them food from heaven. Bread from heaven. Oh, look at these two lovely birds. They always go faster than I can focus on them. I'd have to sleep out here one night and wake up without making a noise in order to catch them on camera for you. But we leave that work to National Geographic photographers. The Lord has given them bread from heaven. So many accounts. One thing that really struck me, isn't all our bread from heaven? Without that sun that's rising and that's going to cause sunburn for a bunch of people today, and maybe unfortunately some will get sunstroke, isn't it all bread from heaven? All 100%? And the leaves taking in the light energy and through chlorophyll processing food that's going to be digested by enzymes in our body. And that tastes good. I mean, who could put that whole thing together? Who could put that together? And it's reproductive, the food and even our own systems. Food from heaven. All of our food's from heaven. Come on. Hey, tell me it's not from heaven. Show me it's not from heaven. All of our food's from heaven. Okay, it's processed on earth, but where does the light come from? at least 93 million miles away. And who set up that furnace? You know, it's not an easy thing to organize a furnace. Try doing it, because you have to contain the fire and you have to provide fuel and keep it going for an hour. If you light a campfire and have it going for an hour, that's an accomplishment. Not every kid can do that right away, or even every PhD guy. Give me a break. And to organize a fire that lasts for 24 hours, yeah, you need to have some planning and provision. And to organize this fire that's 93 million miles away and just the distance is perfect for our lives. Doesn't all our food come from heaven? All of our food comes from heaven. So I think we need to rethink all of this again. All of our food comes from heaven. And that's why it's so beautiful, this ancient biblical custom before breaking bread, to hold it in our hands and with eyes raised, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is where we were yesterday, people, just under the foot of this mountain up there, if you remember. We were up real close like we were never before. That was yesterday's video, right up there. That was lovely. Okay, so all of our food's from heaven. Now, if the fellow who made all of this, you know, you got a guy that's great at building furnaces, and you need a furnace, so you say, hey, come and do our furnace. Nothing like a good report about a good plumber. You know, we all need plumbers now and again. We have one working right now, fixing problems. He's fantastic. And everybody, you know, when we had chimneys in bygone days, you know, we needed a chimney sweep. I'm sure my dad could have done it, but the chimney sweep had the experience, and he knew how to do it. And it's great to have a car mechanic, you know, or a dentist. Like, who's going to try and pull out your tooth? It's better to go to the dentist, you know. So this guy who made this furnace called the sun, is there any way that if he organized everything that works from the nuclear fusion happening in the sun to the enzymes digesting the energy coming from that fire 93 million miles away in my tummy, could he send me a WhatsApp? Could he send me an SMS? Could he even do it without having a cell phone? Could he just pop it into my brain? So some people say that's crazy. He couldn't speak to Abraham. Impossible. That's lunacy. No way. You must be kidding. That God intervened in history. Who cares about history? Isn't it all a pile of garbage? We have all the pessimistic people, a bit like Elijah on humanity's journey through the centuries. So many conflicts, so many disasters, so much misery, so much cruelty, so much hostility, so much selfishness. Like, you know, like that sentiment Moses had, you know, God, like, wipe me out. I don't want any more of this. This people is too heavy for me to bear. But there's a fire of love in that heart that says, not only will I talk to Abraham, but I'm actually going to walk with the people. I'm going to join their walk. I'm not giving up on them, those I created, those I brought into existence, those I fathered. Not giving up on my children. What father will give his child a stone when they ask for bread? There's a little bird there, but it's a small... Oh, there's a big one. There was a big one up there. There was a little one over there and she's gone too, or he's gone, whatever it is. What father will give his son a stone when he asks for bread? And humanity crying out, Lord, help us. Even the atheists cry out in front of injustice. Help us, come. I was just reading a text from a very famous atheist. Amazing, amazing text. I actually had a negative idea about this guy, but my heart goes out to him right now. And I was 5 years old when he died. And I was thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we could have met him? But he was so burned up in the 32 years of his life when he was given a famous talk. He had lived through the First and Second World Wars. A year old when the First World War broke out. And he's giving the talk in 1946, so he was not yet 33. Atheist guy. Totally exhausted by the violence that he had experienced. And he himself was involved in it. What father will give his child a stone when he asks for a bread roll? Get up and eat. And there was a heart cake. You know, a heart cake. There was heart in that cake. Imagine every parent putting some bread on the table for their child. It's always a heart cake. It's always a heart gift. Get up and eat. How many times did our mom call us and say, get up, it's time for breakfast. Even sometimes she would bring our breakfast to bed, to where we were in bed, and we'd have our breakfast in bed. That's a story for another day. Obviously also when we were sick, if we weren't well. Imagine all the heart cakes we received as children, as babies, as young people, as older people, maybe those of you who are married as a spouse. How many heart cakes? Get up and eat. And there it was, all prepared. And that this guy who made the furnace and who sent a what's up to Abraham and walks with the people in the cloud as a column of fire, could become flesh and walk with us and feel the hunger we felt, and the tiredness and the fatigue and the frustration. How long more will I have to be with you? You understand so little. Amazing, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. Amazing. Amazing, and science discovers and unfolds all these mysteries. And he decided to be born of woman. But then we tell him he cannot give us his flesh to eat and his blood to drink because it's repugnant for us. We tell the guy of the furnace, you know nothing about furnaces. Go and get lost behind a cloud. Take away your light from us. We don't want to hear you. Well, that's probably next Sunday's gospel because they'll all walk away. Are you going to go too? He left us in complete freedom. Well, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. The mystery of that Eucharist. The mystery of that bread. The mystery of that sacrifice. In a world of so much corruption, so much violence, so much selfishness, where so many people conclude atheism, And atheism means without God. So maybe each of us are a little bit that way because we kind of keep God out of certain sectors of our life. We prefer there's a cloud in front of it and we don't hear his voice. What a challenge. And so practical in that kindness and gentleness, and even moments when we're asked for a sacrifice for a child, for a spouse, for an elderly fading parent, for a neighbor, for somebody we don't like that's in need, and we make a sacrifice of our time. We spend some time listening. We lay down our lives for them. How many do that? It's amazing. How beautiful. Not in self-indulgence, but in self-gift, giving. It's in giving that we receive. People, thank you so much for joining. There's so much still in these readings. Now the sun has gone. That happens in our lives as we walk. Sometimes there's aging and decline. Sometimes there's the desire fades and dies and is cut off. And there's eternal life. This is the bread of eternal life. And the resurrection happens and the sun shines again in our lives, coming out from the darkness. People, thank you so much for joining us today here at the Sea of Galilee. It's been a great joy. Look at our mountain up there where we were yesterday. At the foot of it, not on top of it. So thank you. Have a blessed Sunday. Shavua Tov to all those people who live here and work with us and help us. Blessings for all of you. No matter if it's cloudy in your area today, you can be the sunshine. Your little sacrifice makes so much difference. You can put the heart into the cake, make that heart cake.